So, Darko, you have a very different view on salt than Augenis Vonderplan's, for example, than the primal dieters. Augenis says that even the salt that is healthy, that people consider healthy, is unhealthy, that all forms of salt are unhealthy. Where you two agrees that table salt, for example, is unhealthy. But you do think that some natural salts are healthy. Could you talk about the salts that are healthy and why salt is healthy? Why is it that Augenis got this point wrong?
Well, our bodies are salty. When you sweat, if you lick your sweat, it is salty. If you taste your urine, it is salty. It may be very bitter, but there is salt. You can feel the salt in there. Same is with excrement. So every time your body rejects something, it is salty. Now, what are salts when we look at it from a point of physics? They're ions, usually cation and anion combined. So you have a positive, negative combined, and you get salt. Now, why are they important? Because of conductivity, electric conductivity. We say blood is water. Well, not really. Blood is plasma. Now, what is plasma? Plasma, again, according to the science that we are being told, or science, plasma is electroconductive element. If you have water, when it becomes electroconductive, now it is referred to being plasma. Because if you take a distilled water, you can put electric wire in one side of a glass and put your finger on the other side in the water and nothing happens. You put a pinch of salt and boom, you get zapped right away. Okay, so once when you understand that your body is electronic robot and it runs on electricity, which we call energy, then this energy cannot flow unless you are well conductive. And it is common knowledge, everybody can try it. Go and sweat and drink distilled water and you are going to collapse. You can die because there is no electroconductivity. So energy stops flowing, you are dead. Salt is extremely important. Now, why some people, like, what is his name, Jonas, whatever, when they talk about not necessarily having salt in a diet, well, they are looking at animals and they say, well, you see, carnivores, animals that eat other animals, they do not need to lick salt. They never take salt. They only drink water. Well, the water they drink is already mineralized because it will run through the soil, so becomes mineralized. If they would drink only rainwater, well, that would be a little bit more difficult. But we have to understand that animal cannot survive unless it is well mineralized. It is very interesting to watch some of the videos of Matt Foster University. Here, he explains that the salt deposits in the soil that we see really are not what we have been told, a trapped ocean that slowly evaporated and salt was left there, because in a cavern somewhere down below, it's always humid. So what will evaporate? Not really much. Where we find salt is in an image pattern of the muscle, which he shows. And actually the salt deposited is a tissue of some giant animal or giant human that used to be present or that this planet is made of. It's a living organism constructed of dead organisms. And the salt deposits actually has nothing to do with evaporated oceans, but with the decaying corpses. And we are being told, well, you know, you cannot really absorb mineral. Mineral cannot serve in human body because it is not bioactive. It has to be chelated first. It has to go through plants, and then you receive it by eating plant. Well, if this is correct, then how come that, and also green leafy plant, okay? So how come that herbivores that eat nothing but green leafy stuff, they are depleted of minerals and they have to lick salt? You cannot have cow farmer or goat farmer or sheep farmer without giving your animals salt to lick. So obviously there is some discrepancy. Something is not right in the science, we are being told. And on the other side, carnivores, they don't need any supplement because by eating animal product, you are receiving all the minerals that you need. So Ionis here is right. Yeah, we don't need to have minerals, salts. Not that they are bad for us, but we don't need them. But here again, this would be if we would live like wild animals. So you are born from healthy mother, and then you start eating healthy food from a get-go. Well, this is not happening with us because we are born from toxic mothers, and then we are being switched to food which is not good for us, and we start getting more and more toxic. And now when we switch to correct food, let's say we start eating raw animal diet, what happens? We start gaining minerals, but we are still not raising our blood plasma levels fast enough because we are not eating and drinking. Because again, Ionis says, don't drink water, okay? So you take minerals. We have to understand that the body is a programmed robot. It runs on programs. So if you have this is your level of water, and this is your level of salt, you have for optimal conductivity, they have to be adjusted correctly, which body does on its own. It has the system to adjust. So now you eat meat and you bring some minerals, but you are low on water. So now you are over mineralized. Over or under, it's a bad thing. It has to be exact. So body is already programmed. As soon as there is a oversaturation of something, it eliminates it. And to eliminate it, it will use more water because you cannot wash anything without water. So you will eliminate and you start actually dehydrating. And eventually, you are going to drink something. And also, if you're eating raw meat, well, you are getting liquids with it. You are drinking water with it. But what is happening, even if you start slowly rising blood level, what happens that all the toxic stuff that your body has accumulated because it did not have enough plasma to eliminate, now starts getting dislodged and goes back into the blood, making blood more toxic. More toxic blood requires more plasma for detox, but you are not giving it. You are just slowly raising this level and you are dislodging more toxins which are going into the blood. And this is very common to almost everybody that switches to carnivore diet. At the beginning, they feel great. Everything is going like Joey. Everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, little problems. I feel low of energy. I don't know, I crave sugar, I crave this, I crave that. And because of science, as we are being pushed the wrong information, oh, brain cannot function without carbohydrates, it needs glucose, it needs fast energy, otherwise it cannot function. So then we all get trapped into this situation. Okay, well, I probably need some sugar. As soon as you take it, you feel better. But why are you feeling worse after a certain period of time when you are on carnivore diet? Because the blood plasma is slowly rising, you are dislodging toxins from a tissue, and you are not able to offload it because you need more plasma. You see, cleansing is a program controlled. So one program is telling you how much plasma you should have in the body. Another program tells you how much toxicity you can tolerate. And most of these toxins are mild toxins. They are not something that really bothers you unless they are getting saturated. Even if you take a vitamin C and you start saturating it, right away you are going to create a problem in a body. Same is with iodine, which I'm explaining. Those things all should be used in microdoses. As soon as you start loading on it, you are creating oversaturation, which actually is like a pulling brakes on the body. It just doesn't work. So the problem is starting that blood is becoming more toxic. Now, body cannot offload it because the program says, but I need more plasma. I cannot waste what I have to eliminate this stupid toxicity that really doesn't bother me so much. So all that happens is that electrical flow lowers down, and what happens, you become tired. You feel tired because your body is trying to hydrate, trying to cleanse. It cannot do it. There is discrepancy in the electroconductivity through the body. Same can happen with creation of bad emotions. Again, you are interfering with the flow of energy. This is why what we call diseases can be triggered with various things. Causes could be various, and so can the so-called cures. Can come from different points because it's all about energy. It's all about electromagnetism. It's all about frequency. And transmission of frequency can be done in many different ways. We have to understand that since we are not pure when we start our life, we are toxic, then period of time will come when we start correcting everything in our body, that body has to eliminate these toxins. Eliminate or transform, transmute. But we are basically programmed to eliminate. And for this, it needs more plasma. More toxic is your blood, the more the mechanism that controls levels of plasma will require more plasma before it takes it out. And I say that the biggest signal to our body that we are well hydrated and the body can do cleansing is when we have diarrhea. Because with diarrhea, we waste a lot of plasma. Urination too, but diarrhea too, even more. And what happened is that you will not get diarrhea unless your body is really very toxic, your blood is very toxic, and these toxins are oozing out, and your body has enough water to waste, enough plasma that it can waste to do the flush. If it doesn't have enough, it is not going to do it. I noticed simple experiment, but you already have to be pretty clean to do these fine experiments. Like if I eat raw meat and nothing else, and I drink my plasma, usually 3 liters a day. And then in the morning, I have 1 liter or liter and a half usually of plasma. I go immediately with diarrhea, and it's like watery flush because you digest meat almost 100%. And the little bit that is left over, and when you get the surplus of minerals, the body immediately goes and eliminates it. It has plenty of plasma, doesn't have to waste anything of its own. It just uses the surplus and just flushes it out. If I take during the day 1 glass, my glass is, half a liter. If I put in half of a lemon, I squeeze it, and I drink half a liter of salty lemonade. It's plasma with the lemon. In the morning, I don't have flush. I drink my 1.5 liter of plasma. Even though I had a meat, I'm not going to have flush because my system, my programs that run it says, okay, well, there is something in the blood that has to be eliminated, which doesn't serve, but to eliminate it, I need more plasma. So I have to load more, and I have to drink more plasma to achieve diarrhea. If I had lemon water, which I have proven through my work that the vitamin C that is from plants does not resonate, does not vibrate the same like vitamin C from animal body or human body. And it basically creates a problem, especially if it's in higher doses. So it's not very problematic, but enough to give additional work for the body to do. So yes, we can live pretty well eating just meat and drinking plain water. We don't have to take a salt if our bodies are fairly clean. We'll just feel little problems, little tiredness, whatever, but in a while we are going to readjust, body will cleanse and everything will be fine. But more toxic we are, the more problematic it is going to be to remain on that diet without raising plasma, because more and more toxins are going to be seeping in, and body will be asking for more and more plasma, dealing with the surplus of what we eat, surplus of the minerals, because it wants to eliminate the minerals also, but it needs more water at the same time.
I
You know,
think
so
I think Augenus wouldn't disagree with what you're saying. I think that getting H2O in is a very big part of his diet. I mean, not cooking anything means you're going to get more water. And he was also adamant about getting a lot of vegetable juice and raw milk. So everything you're eating on that diet is actually filled with plasma. What I think he would disagree on is the way you get the plasma. So he's a get the plasma from food type of guy. He wants all the plasma to come from the food. He wants everything to come from the vegetable juice, from fruit, but just a little bit of fruit, and the dairy and the meat. Well, you're saying that no, you can get the plasma from drinking plasma, which is structured water together with salt. What's the advantages and disadvantages of just getting it from food as opposed to doing what you're saying, which is drinking water with salt?
well, right away when you start mixing vegetables, you are talking about poisoning the body, because why do vegetable juices help when we are dealing with some disease? Well, because they are putting our body, our cells, in a fight and flight situation, as Dr. Lipton calls it. Basically, the toxicity of plant products, because plants are defending themselves by producing toxic elements. And now you put it in your body and your cells start closing down. They close down the membranes not to absorb. When they close down the membranes, they will not absorb, but they will also not expulse. And longer they are being kept in that state, they start dehydrating, because They have to deal with acids that they are producing. So little by little, they will be using their own plasma to eliminate them until they run out of this plasma. So they become dehydrated. If you look in the nature, symptoms of aging, you will not find. You can look at a herd of elephants and you don't know which one is old, which one is young, other than by their size. And older it is, the stronger it is going to be, which is completely contrary to us, because with us you can be young, but you can look sick and you can look old. Your skin looks old. What makes you look old? Your skin starts creasing. It doesn't happen in animal world, on wild animals especially, but it happens with humans. Why? Because they start dehydrating. The connective tissue, the collagen, when it dehydrates, it shrinks, and then the skin starts curling in. Now we are being told, oh, you need collagen because you are not producing the collagen, da da da. This is all bullshit. None of it. It's dehydration. So you dehydrate, it shrinks, and then the skin doubles up. If you hydrate it, it again opens up. Easy to do, easy to try on yourself. So things are not really the way we think they are. Just simple symptoms of aging, which is nothing more than dehydration with us. And this is why we feel weaker as older we get. Muscles lose tension, become floppy, become brittle. Brittle muscle causes hernia. Brittle muscle, because it loses tension, it tends to overextend. Same happens with tendons. So all of a sudden, you get joints that can move further than normally, but then on the other side, the cartilage also starts dehydrating, so it shrinks. And then it cannot lubricate because it doesn't have water to squirt in between. So it runs on empty, on dry, and overheats the joints, causing inflammation. And all the stuff that we call aging of the body is nothing more than dehydration. When you look at elephant that is dying from old age, well, he looks like every other elephant. When you look at lion dying of old age, looks like any other lion. But if you look humans dying of old age, they all look like a prune. Okay, they are dry. Well, they are dying from dehydration, nothing else. And why are they so dehydrated? Because we are eating incorrect diet. We should not be touching vegetables other than using them for medicinal purposes. Now, what is medicinal? Medicinal is toxic, but you are choosing particular frequency to correct particular frequency in the body. And this is why animals, when they are out, like bear, sometimes you see bear eating grass. Well, they are not like cow grazing. They actually smell and they see exactly what type of a leaf they have to eat to counter whatever digestive problem they may have in a body. Or they could have gotten injured and they instinctively know what to eat to heal themselves, like shamans do. Shamans knows instinctively what plant it calls it. It knows it. Well, because shamans are humans which are more connected to their soul than the rest of us. But animals are all connected with their soul. So they instinctively know exactly what to eat to feel better. They instinctively know to drink their urine in some occasions, okay, as a remedy. Animals understand as soon as one cell in their body doesn't function correctly, they know. They know that they are going to die way before they die. So they're connected. We are not. We are completely off because we have severed that bond between our mind and our heart or our soul. So we don't know what's happening in the body. So we have to use other means like kinesiology, dowsing, pendulum to find out a little bit more about what's happening in the body. And this is only marginal information because we don't even know how to ask correct questions. So we cannot get correct answers. And very often you do dowsing on something, oh, I should eat this because dowsing tells me this is good for the body. Well, it is good for your body at this time because of this and this situation that you have. But as soon as you eat this and you correct the situation, well, you should stop. But we don't go there. We go, no, it's good for me. And this is why the whole world now is eating garlic like there is no tomorrow. And garlic is highly neurotoxic. And people are losing sight. Who loses sight the most? Eyesight. And in the earliest ages are people that eat a lot of garlic and ginger. And look at these Asians. Almost every Asian has the glasses when young kids. Because they are brought on garlic, they eat garlic and ginger all the time, and it dehydrates on a cellular level, and it penetrates brain barrier, blood-brain barrier, so it goes into the brain, attacking neurons, goes into your eyes, goes everywhere. You can step on a garlic with barefoot, and 10 minutes later, you will have garlic in your breath because that's how it penetrates and goes into your body and affects your whole system. Very toxic. Every spice that we are using on our food originates as Ayurveda medicinal plant. But then we start liking the taste, and then we think, well, it helps me when I have inflammation, I don't feel good. Okay, so I'm going to have it every day because this will prevent it. Oh, it's not working this way. Okay, so understanding things correctly, and it's very difficult because we have been programmed wrong from get-go. From the moment you open your eyes, programming starts. First, you are already born with certain programs that separate you. So this way you don't know nothing about yourself because you have to be part of the game, experience it fully. So you are sheltered from the information so you cannot change things that you don't like. And then religion gets hold of you, completely separates you from the spirit. And then schools. And we have to understand, especially now when we are awakening, the whole science, and I'm talking about the school science, is controlled by Kabbalah. And this is very important to understand when medicine is in question, because we know that Kabbalah wants to depopulate this planet. And Kabbalah controls information that the doctors learn to help other people with health. So what do you think, what kind of information are doctors given? When, if you look at the protocol of Zion, it basically states, we will make people sick. And when they come to us to heal them, we will make them sicker. This is in a protocol of Zion. And they control medical science, which means that everything that we are being told when we were studying medicine, or that is of any value, is contrary to the truth. Because this is what Kabbalah does. What is, for them, what is evil, for us is God, godly, good. What is dark for us, for them is bright. So they invert everything. And this is exactly The whole science, which I call science, because it's not true, it's their version of science, is upside down. Every pyramid they give you is upside down. Being it on health, being it on food, being it on water, being it on salt, being it on iodine, everything is upside down. And we have to understand that first, where the science comes from, and then the only way to really bypass it is to observe nature and then go within and put the pieces together, the puzzle together. And when you are missing some block, ask question. Don't look for it in a box because you're going to be misled. Even listening to someone else, like listening to me, you may be misled. Go directly to the source. And source is going to lead you to the answer. And yes, source may lead you to me or may lead you to somebody else, but you will be led and only for particular information. So when we are listening to someone and we like what they say, doesn't mean that everything what they say is correct. Okay, you are led there for particular information. You take it and continue searching because the other information may not be correct. And here we make problem to ourselves because we start thinking of certain individuals as gurus. Oh, he knows everything. He is there. He knows. Yeah, well, he is good at something that he discovered, but not everything. Same here. No, not human knows everything because then they would change everything about everything. Because we are powerful. We are creators. We create everything that is in your reality. You have created. It comes out of you. So we can create universes.
So, going back to the original question, I think that that's a good explanation as to why you can't rely on vegetable juices for your plasma. But then the question is, let's say instead of drinking 3 quarts or 3 liters of plasma in the form of water and salt, what if you drink 3 liters of, let's say, milk and blood? Is there a difference there? Is there some kind of advantage to doing it your way? Or can you, instead of drinking water with salt, drink blood and milk to get the plasma that you need?
Well, if you look at milk, what is milk? Milk is 100% nourishment for a young growing organism. So it has a plasma, which means has water, has minerals, but it has also fats, it has proteins, it has everything that the organism needs to grow. So what happens with the baby? It drinks milk, so it's pure liquid. But then the stool is pasty. How did liquid turn into pasty stuff? Well, and why does it have to eliminate altogether if everything it's taking in, it's necessary for the body? Because after all, we don't need anything. We are toroidal fields. We are energy ourselves. This is all make-believe program. Like you create program on a computer. So, for example, I see you now on a computer here, and I can take a needle and I can stab you. Well, you will not feel anything. Okay, because again, this is not interactive game. But once when you are in this reality, then you feel everything. It's a little bit different. And when you take milk, you are taking stuff that your body has to eliminate because it's just a program telling you you need this, 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 so the body can function correctly and body grows. But actually, we don't need anything because everything is created by consciousness. Obeying this program, this is all obeying a program. Now, in this program, as you are programmed to do, you need this so you can grow. But at the same time, you have to eliminate all of it because, again, it's all make-believe. And to be able to eliminate liquid in a solid form, so something has to be in a milk to do this. So what is in a milk that turns into fiber is lactose. Lactose is a complex sugar. And then the body produces enzyme called lactase, which then turns the sugar into fiber. And it gives you pasties too. Now, a lot of people say, well, you see lactose, it's a sugar, so you cannot be in ketogenic state if you take a milk. No, you don't understand the programming. It's just about the program. So you have to eliminate stuff. So when you take milk, you take everything that the body needs that is programmed to, so it can grow and eliminate. But if the body is already toxic, comes from a toxic mother, for example, what happens with the babies when they come from toxic mothers? When they start drinking milk, all of a sudden they get diarrhea and they start vomiting. Why? Because milk is less toxic than their mother's blood. So they came from a toxic environment already, and now by taking milk, they are starting to hydrate and eliminate those toxins. Of course, doctors are trained to say, to understand vomiting and diarrhea as disease, the body, something is diseased in the body, and we have to stop this. And they actually medicate the child, suppressing its natural, I call it autopilot of healing and cleansing, and making the child even sicker. Then it starts erupting through skin as a form of elimination. And all these children now, young kids, they are suffering from eczemas and all kinds of skin problems. Well, if you are taking milk, you understand that you bring in what you have to eliminate. And if your body is already toxic, it's not enough. You can help it much better and much faster by bringing clean plasma, because plasma is what it needs to eliminate. Why? Again, this is very simple answer to this. Every time you feel unwell and you go to tribal healer, shaman, medicine man, they will make you purge. They give you some toxin that is going to alert your body that has to eliminate it. And when you go into this frequency of elimination, you then eliminate whatever is there that should not be in the body, in the blood. So yeah, not really body, doesn't affect cells, but affects the blood and lymph. And you purge it out, and then you feel better. And in my protocol, instead of poisoning the body, I'm just using the excessive amounts of minerals that body is programmed to eliminate if they are surplus. So you create surplus, and now body has to eliminate it. Once when it's in a mode of elimination, eliminates everything else, like purging system using toxic medicinal remedies. So blood also, blood could be toxic. Blood could have a lot of things. I always tell people, don't accept transfusions, because your body will make blood very quickly. Within 2 days, 3-day maximum, you will have all the blood that you lost replenished by simply putting saline solution or drinking plasma. Because it's clean, it's pristine. There is nothing there that body has to eliminate other than the surplus of minerals that you bring in. So it can eliminate everything else from the blood. Blood is okay to drink, but again, remember, blood has limited amount of fat in it, because it's only how much the body was asking for of the animal that the blood comes from. So you don't get any surplus of anything. If you look at Maasai warriors and they drink the blood, they actually eat the coagulum of the blood. They swirl it on a stick and then lick. They just eat the nutrients, which are the fats and the proteins which are in the blood. But they are all skinny because there is not much nutrient there, enough to sustain you, but you don't get fat on eating blood or drinking milk. Drinking cow's milk may bring more fat in you because cow's milk is way more greasy than human milk. So yes, you can give baby human milk, but you should dilute it. Otherwise, the baby gets fat, too much fat in it. This is why they say it's better goat milk because it's closer to human milk fat-wise. So we have to understand what we are bringing in a body and how the body works, what the body can use, what it cannot use, how it uses it, and how it will react towards what you are bringing into the body. And any animal product is good. So yes, you can have blood, but blood can be toxic. You can have milk, but again, milk is a plasma, but you will need way more plasma than nutrients if you want to cleanse the body. If you just use milk, you will get very fat and you will not be able to really do the job correctly. So this is how I look at it.
The interesting thing about your system of detoxification is you focus a lot on the H2O. Well, if you compare that to Ogenus, he focuses a lot on the fat. And his main argument is that to clean up the toxins that are fat soluble, you need fat because those can only be transported if you eat a lot of fat, in fat. And so you need to eat a lot of fat to transport those out. While in your system, you say that the problem is that you don't have enough plasma to transport everything. So my question is, shouldn't you focus on both plasma and getting a lot of fat into you so that you can build enough, well, I'd say LDL and HDL to transport all of those toxins out to, any detoxification outlet? Wouldn't you say that it's, if you only do plasma, you'll only be able to eliminate the water-soluble toxins, and that the fat-soluble toxins you won't have enough cholesterol to create the particles that will transport those things through the blood once you have enough plasma. Do you get what I'm saying? So what do you think
Yeah.
about that?
I think that the problem here is limitation of understanding. If we focus on the idea that toxins are the stuff that we eat, then we have missed the train. Because what is toxin? Toxin is a frequency that is not correctly synchronized. So if you start looking at it this way, you have to understand that everything is made out of frequencies. How? Because the brain is basically programmed mechanism, robot, that takes a sequence of frequencies, and according to the programming, it manifests it through your senses, through the eyes in the form of pictures, through sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of touch. It will manifest the other frequencies, which are not manifested through light. So when you look at a piece of meat, then you see the color, the smell, the taste, everything about it in its natural form is representation of its frequencies. And if you eat it like this, you are bringing perfectly tuned, because these are all natural, God-created frequencies. So when you consume them, nothing has shifted. So they come into your body, they resonate exactly. If you think of your body as being a very elaborate orchestra, and then let's say your heart are drums, and your vocal cords are violins, and your eyes are pianos, or whatever. And now you are bringing the same pieces of same instruments into your body, and they are tuned exactly the same. Everything works perfectly. There is no problem how many pianos you put in there. There is no problem how many violins you add, as long as they are all tuned to the same frequency. But now what happens when you start playing with the food? Cooking, for example. What is cooking? You apply heat. What does heat do? Heat raises frequency. So if you expose something to heat, it will start rising the frequency. So you can have meat, you can have an apple, you can have a carrot. Doesn't matter what you heat up. All of a sudden you feel a change of smell. What does that mean? Well, one frequency have shifted. It's not anymore the tuned frequency. It is one of the pianos, and one chord or two or more chords have been tightened a little bit more. So you still see it as a piano, but it sounds different. And it may sound tasty, but usually it sounds shitty first time you have it. And first time you have I don't know if you remember first time having a beer. It's awful, terrible. But then you get used to it. You adjust your other senses, your organ, your whole body to it, and then it becomes something that you like, that you're accustomed to take. Same is with coffee, same is with wine, same is even with a baked meat. I was the other day, my wife was away for several months, no, month and a half, and I was eating with my animals. I was too busy. I didn't want to even heat up anything, so I would take raw fish or fillet or ground meat or steak. And what I give to my animals, cats and dogs, I eat myself without heating it up, nothing. And then when my wife came, then of course we sear. And as we seared it, and as I cut it, actually the seared part that I used to love was like, what is this crap? How did I love it? Okay, you completely start switching to the other way, natural frequency. So when we are cooking, smell changes, the color changes. It turns brown and goes to black. Black is toxic color. Okay, the consistency changes. Raw meat is soft. You can chew through it. As soon as you start even searing it, the seared part becomes rubbery, becomes rough, tough to chew through. Okay, you are changing to complete every frequency, you are shifting. So you are bringing in your body the piano, the violin, but they're out of tune. So now you listen to the orchestra that your body is creating, and you cringe because you will sense the off-tune instrument there. More you are tuned to natural frequencies, the more you are going to sense the off-tune instrument. Fortunately, our genetics, we are constructed in such a way that we can acclimate ourselves. We are adaptable through genes. So the gene will pick up the vibration, and then it will give the information to the cell how to behave in a given situation to survive the change of frequency. It's adaptability. Now we call it immunity, because what happens, more toxic you become, more of these frequencies you have, not only your cells are closing down, but you are starting having a problem with your genetic expression and telomeres. Same as cells are shrinking, telomeres are curling up. So their length is being shortened, which means antenna is shorter. So now many of those frequencies will not be even detected. And you can eat the crappy food that normally would make you sick immediately, but you don't feel sick, you feel okay. When I came to New York City as a youngster, after I finished my schools, I did not have time to prepare food, nothing. So I very often, my food was peanuts, ice cream, and beer. Okay, and I was fine on it. I was okay. But now when I cleanse my body and went into deeper cellular cleansing and my telomeres extended a little bit, now I'm way more sensitive. Now if I have peanuts, it's like I put rocks in my stomach. And if I repeat peanuts the next day, I get constipated. My whole body locks down. That's how toxic peanuts are. Try to explain it to regular human that lives on peanut butter and jelly. They cannot get it. They are so toxic that they don't even realize that this is toxic frequency until they start cleansing up. And nobody ever is doing cleansing. Nobody. Because we are unaware. Toxicity is not only the food we eat. Majority of toxicity that we have to deal with are our emotions. And has nothing to do with fat. But what it has to do is with a crystal. Why crystal? Because it's a part of sacred geometry. What creates the information which is being used by our brain to construct our reality is sacred geometry. And sacred geometry are frequencies, lines that connect connected points, and those lines are frequencies. So more elaborate body, crystal body, will have more elaborate sort of frequencies in it. And I look at the salt because it shows itself as a crystal. I look at it as a three-dimensional quantum expression. So, and this you can do also with your mind. You take a look at the water and you can crystallize the water simply with your thought, as Dr. Masaru Emoto was proving and showing what we can actually do with our mind. So do we need to take the salt? No, we can create it with our mind. But to create in a way that it will serve you as a truth, you have to trust it unconditionally, because you only manifest things that your ego understands. And if you don't accept them as such, you cannot manifest them. So even though you can look at the water and send love to the water and healing energies, and then flash freeze it and look under the microscope, and you will see beautiful crystal resembling beautiful salts. But then you will not have the same effect of it unless you understand that you have created this salt. It actually is now in the water without you physically putting it in there. But unless you fully trust it, it is not going to serve you. This is why Jesus said, you have to have faith and you can move mountains, because nothing exists there if you don't want it to be there, because you create it in the first place. It's a very intricate reality, it's a very intricate thing. And more we start going into quantum, and then we are going now in Q age, quantum age. So all this is going to be exposed to us. And we start realizing that, yeah, you don't need anything. You have 50 years ago, well, 10 years ago, I saw it myself. A computer that one friend had, she paid $50,000 for program on the computer. It was for healing purposes. And it's already old technology. You just sit in front of it. You don't even have to hook yourself, though you have the opportunity, the possibility to do so. And it recognizes your frequency and asks you, who are you? So you type in or you tell your name. So he remembers you. So next time when you come, he greets you right away. Hey, Darko, how are you? Okay, and then you can just tell the computer, okay, I need my body to be scanned. And it will ask specifically whole body or what part, and it will scan you without you being touching anything. It just because you radiate this energy. Your aura has all the information in it. And it soaks it in. And then the machine can tell you, well, you are low on calcium and you are low on sodium, on potassium, vitamin C. Do you want me to replenish? And you say, yes. And the computer creates the frequencies that your brain is programmed to and understands them to be magnesium, potassium, kalium, whatever. And you are loaded with it without actually physically eating it. So we have to understand that the reality is something completely different from what we think reality is. It's a dream phase of our mind, and everything is frequency. Now, how you get it in, it has to make logical to your mind, otherwise it's not going to work. So if you think that you can only get minerals chelated from some vegetable, then it will be easier for your body to accept it this way. Only the problem is that mind is not individual, mind is collective. And since collective knows the truth, then overrides the mind. So you are under influence of the program that you cannot uncouple from. So the program tells you you physically have to get, you see, this is the soul, this is the mineral, and it is here, it is not there, and that's how you get it. Well, that's how you will get it. But has nothing to do, there is no such a thing as organic and inorganic matter. It's only frequency. And it's how you perceive it and what you do with it according to the programs and your understanding, which is another program that you have accepted to run for you, for your benefit, which often is misled program, which runs against your benefits. But again, it's all our perception of the reality. So fat is energy and serves as energy, nothing else in our body. Because fat is a chain of carbons connected to hydrogen. What is energy is a hydrogen. What in physics we call electron, in biochemistry we call hydrogen. It's the same thing. It's unit of energy. And you strip this hydrogen, and what is left is carbon. You connect carbon to oxygen, you create carbon dioxide, and you exhale carbon dioxide. So majority of the cleansing goes actually through your lungs. You are eliminating the carbon, excessive amounts of carbon. And other than this, fat has very little to do with anything else. It's your energy.
You're
And
yeah,
yeah,
you're one of the few people who says that they didn't discover raw meat from Ogenus. You seem to have discovered that raw meat is superior to cooked meat by yourself. So my question is, what was the thought process? How did you discover that raw meat is superior? You already touched on it a bit, but I'd like to know more about that.
observation. As being a doctor, veterinarian, when I went to check what is the problem with why my dog had a cancer, if there's anything new about cancer, and I went into computer and started searching, and I discovered that doctors know way less now than they used to be told when I was in school. At least we knew what cancer was. Now they have no clue what cancer is. So I knew right away I cannot go into books to search for anything. So I start observing the nature, strictly observe the nature and then think. And having some background, of course, in biology helps. And I have noticed that there is no disease in animal world. Animals do not succumb, not even flu. There is no disease there. They may have injury and then suffer consequences, but even injured, you can have a zebra, you see it on YouTube, a zebra being attacked by a lion and piece of flesh was hanging out, but she managed to escape. Then she rolls in the dust, shakes it off, starts eating, and then they follow the zebra thinking, oh, she's going to die, there's going to be infection. What? Nothing happens, no infection. Uh, the wound heals and everything is fine. And how come that we can have a blister and you poke a blister with a dirty hand and you can get sepsis, you can die from blood poisoning? Forget about having a cut and putting it in the mud and leaving it like this to see what happens. You get a sepsis, you die. So this was starting to intrigue me. And this is why I went into research. And where do I research? When I know that everything is corrupt. Observe nature, look what nature does, and then think about it. And what is the difference? And I noticed that the only big difference between us and wild native world is we play with our food. We heat it up. So must be something there. Something there is not right. And this is why I start experimenting. I start eating raw. And I was vegan. I was vegetarian. I was vegetarian before I even went into this, because all my life I was put in situations which I never rejected. I always absorbed and tried and then went my own way. So I had experience with vegetarianism, but when I tried veganism, 2 weeks later, I was done with it. Okay, and when I made experimentation of eating only raw meat, my wife is a Venezuelan, and since we lived on a yacht, hurricane season, I went down to Venezuela and spent the winter there, the summer there. And I decided, meat plentiful, I'm going to eat just a raw meat, raw liver, raw steaks, raw fish. And I was doing very well on this diet. I really felt good. And when I came 6 months later, I came back to St. Martin, where we have a lot of friends in Caribbean. And some friends would come to my wife asking, whoa, Darko had plastic surgery? Because I looked so much younger, so much more vibrant by eating raw meat. So I knew right away, this is what we should be doing. This is what animals are doing. We should not be cooking. We should eat it raw. Of course, my wife was cringing whenever I would put a raw liver in my mouth and the smell of raw liver in the house. And then, so I had to readjust, and start searing things, which is also tolerable. You can sear things as long as they are mostly completely raw, just crusts are being seared. And to me, this was the natural, okay, this is what animals do in nature. This is a natural given frequency. At that time, I was not even focusing so much on frequencies. This is just when I started. At that time, simultaneously, actually, I started being intrigued by frequencies, because a friend of mine, Roger, over there on island, he was a dowser, though that was his love of life. He was always walking with dowsing stuff. And I gave him some interesting ideas to dowse. And we did many experiments which proved to me the power of frequencies, how everything is frequency oriented. And then it dawned to me that what cooking is. You are shifting the frequency. You are completely changing the vibration of what you are eating, which is creating havoc in the body. So
There's
this is
a
how I got to it.
Yes. There's a great doctor called Paul Saladino. He used to eat a cooked carnivore diet, and then he started introducing fruits and honey, and also raw dairy, and then he felt a lot better. So he's known in the carnivore community for saying that zero carb is not for everyone, at least. So I've heard you say maybe I'm mistaken, that fruits don't do anything for us, that we can't utilize the fructose, we can't turn it into glucose. And you've said a lot of unique things about blood glucose in general. Um, what do you think happened there in Paul's case, and what do you think about, blood sugar and fruit in general? I'd like to go over that.
Well, when you are cooking meat, you are degrading it. You are making it toxic. You cannot even break it down. If you take a raw meat under influence of stomach acid, it will break down into amino acids and fatty acids. And this is what you absorb. Absorption is basically almost complete, except of collagen fiber may take longer time and it may actually survive, and you can use it to eliminate. And this is why carnivores, when they eat, they don't chew. They eat meat in chunks, so there are longer fibers than which assist in elimination process. When you start eating, okay, now also what is happening, if you have already toxic body and you start eating meat, you are starting getting more minerals, although it doesn't break properly, and it will require a bacterial production to help you with the breaking down the coagulated proteins, and this ends up producing toxic gases. So you go to bathroom, it stinks, you need gas masks. Just look, try to eat a couple raw eggs, just gobble them up, and you will feel very light. You go to bathroom, and it is like you ate fruits, like no smell whatsoever, everything beautiful. And you eat few cooked, well-cooked boiled eggs, and you need gas masks. You think that you entered a freaking volcano, all sulfur, okay? Because your body cannot break it down. So now it needs bacteria, and it has to create the bacteria to start breaking this stuff down. And then as a side product, you have all these toxic gases. So whenever you are eating cooked, you are already poisoning your body. And now when again, there are different between poisons and poisons. There are out of tune frequencies, but your cells still are basically tuned more or less. They still know it's a piano, it's violin, it's just out of tune, so it's still manageable. But when you start putting plants in there, plant is completely different species. When you look at the animals, you are looking at the fats and animal-based proteins. When you look at plants, you are looking basically on carbohydrates, on different types of complex sugars. Even the cellulose, which is a fiber of a plant, is a complex sugar. So when you look at a plant, you are looking at sugar. You are looking at animals, you are looking basically at fat. And those two don't mix. They simply do not mix. And even the herbivores, we think, well, but they live from greens that they eat. This is not true. They have a special fermentation sac. They ferment, so they create bacteria, like you have ants that have a special fungus, which they feed, and then they use the fungus, what fungus produces as their food. Well, this is what happens in symbiotic manner with herbivores. So what actually goes into their regular stomach from the fermentation sac is fats and proteins. It's all broken down. And this is what they're nourished by. And every omnivore or every herbivore can actually eat meat. And in nature, you will find deer eating dead carcass. If there is not enough grazing, they will go for that. Horse, you can feed on meat perfectly, on steaks, on blood, on milk, perfectly, no problem. So again, you have to understand the body, but when you start introducing plants, since they don't vibrate same as your animal body, they will cause cells to protect themselves. So they start closing down. They don't want these elements to enter cells, and then they try to eliminate it. So you are basically locking the garbage in a body, and when it's locked, it doesn't create problems. When do you feel tired and sluggish? When your body is cleansing and hydrating. What is flu? Flu is exactly this process. Your body is tricked into cleanse, and now your blood becomes very toxic. You are detoxifying through diarrhea, through phlegm, through sweating, high fever. Okay, this is all part of a detox. You are not sick. There is no virus. There is no bacteria involved in this. It is cleansing of the body. And how do you feel? Low of energy. You want to be left alone, sleep. You're not even hungry. You don't even want to drink. You feel like dying and just leave me alone, because your body has to cleanse. So whenever body is cleansing, you become low on energy. And what is happening when you are eating only meat diet, and especially if it's not correctly prepared? You have plenty to cleanse. So you are going to be in cleansing mode. You are either in active mode or in cleansing mode. And cleansing mode is energy required. And whenever you take more energy, then you have less energy on your body for other things. So you feel sleepy. You don't feel like watching. You want to watch a movie and you start falling to sleep. Happens to me all the time because I'm in cleansing. And when you start poisoning yourself with some plant, now plant is stopping the hydration and cleansing. So on a cellular level, body has to eliminate what you put in, but this is nothing to do with your cellular activity. And way less energy consuming, and more energy is left for you. Your intestines will not absorb well. So you will not absorb many things also, which will leave more liquid in your intestines, and you will not have constipation. You may even have diarrhea. But a lot of people say, well, we need the fiber to have right consistency. No. What you need is actually the toxic effect of a plant to minimalize absorption of liquids into your body, so more liquid stays in your intestines, so you can have pasty or soft stool. And you do it by poisoning yourself through plants. If you don't have a plants and you just eat meat, you may very quickly go into constipation if your body requires more plasma to eliminate. And instead of taking more plasma now, people say, you see, I'm lacking fiber, and when I eat plants, I feel much better, and I don't have constipation. Well, you don't have constipation because you are poisoning yourself, so you are not absorbing. We are misunderstanding the symptoms that our body is giving. I had this client, French couple, that she had skin problems and he had cough problems that they could not resolve. And then when they went on Self-Healers protocol, within few months, it was all taken care of. And then they followed my articles, my work for years. And about 2 years later, they contacted me that they would like to introduce spirulina in their diet because they hear such a beneficial thing of spirulina. What do I think about it? And I said, well, spirulina is toxic plant. So if you want, then use it, but only eat according to the protocol and do everything else according to the protocol. Just add spirulina and be part of my experiment and let me know what happens. And they were very happy because they're going to be part of now this experiment. And I didn't hear from them 6 months. And then I got big letter, and he explains that the day when they put first couple of spoons of spirulina in their shake, the egg shake, they immediately felt more energized. And when they can read more books without falling to sleep, they can watch movies, they can interact, feeling way more energetic. But little by little, after month, his wife starts scratching her skin again, and he starts with little cough, but they didn't pay attention to it until it progressively got worse and worse. And then one day became obvious, wait, we have the same symptoms that we have before we went on self-healers protocol. How come? When the only thing they did is introduce spirulina. Well, spirulina actually blocked their hydration and cleansing. And no energy was wasted on this, so they felt more energetic. It's not that spirulina gives you more energy, because it can. There is nothing in it to give you energy. They say, whoa, photons. What photons? You put it in your stomach, the acids break down everything. What freaking photon are you talking about? Okay, so it is basically that you interrupt your self-healing mechanism, and it doesn't waste energy for self-healing, and now gives you energy for other baloney, like reading stupid books, novels, and or watching some stupid movies. Okay, so what is more important? Going through the cleanse and maybe feel sleepy, or feel energetic and slowly getting poisoned to death?
So with Paul, he's, drinking orange juice, he's eating pineapple and papaya. Are you putting fruits, raw fruits, in the same category as vegetation? Are you putting them in the
Same,
so you're saying that his addition of fruit is stopping detoxification, and that's why he's feeling better.
right,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, we'll see if what you're saying is correct. Of course, then we'll see that he'll run into problems. Maybe in a few years or in a year.
Yeah, this happens slowly because you have vegans that are 10-year vegans. I have some clients which were 15-year vegans. But then all of a sudden, because what happens with vegans? They say, oh, my immune system is so great, I never have a flu. Well, flu and immune system has nothing to do with each other. Flu is detox, which means if you don't have symptoms of flu, you are not detoxifying. There is no way that you are not toxic, because we are being poisoned through air, through water, through food that we eat, no matter how pristine the food we think it is, because from air they are poisoning the soil. And plants do not cleanse. This is why the worst treated animal is still healthier and cleaner than best treated plant. Because animal, even if it's shot with hormone, it is going to cleanse this hormone within 24 hours.
Or store it somewhere in the organs.
Or store it, but usually cleanses it, because what it doesn't need, it eliminates. This is the natural programming. And animals usually are hydrated well, because we are not trying to poison animals. We try to have a good production of milk, good production of meat. So you give the animals optimal stuff. You want to have the good salt, go into a farm supply and buy salt for animals and use it. I guarantee it's going to be better than any other salt that you will buy in the market, for example. Okay.
So just a quick question on that, because if fruits are in the category of vegetation, which is toxic unless it's used in specific medicinal purposes, I know that in your protocol you use banana shakes, raw egg and banana shakes. So why is it that the banana isn't, slowing down the detoxification? Why is it acceptable to eat in that case?
Well, certain animals have a reciprocal action with plants. Like there are some birds that can eat some berries which no other animal can eat because it's toxic, but for them it's okay. And they are actually programmed to spread those seeds so the plant can spread around. Same is with some seeds that monkey eat. Monkey eats some fruit, and then wherever it defecates the seed, the new plant hatches, but nobody can really eat it without having consequences except this type of a monkey. So these are reciprocities. that between animals. And yes, we have some fruits that we can eat that are not going to affect us negatively, and we spread our seeds, like apples, whatever fruit we are eating, and we are not feeling sick from it. Well, basically, we have this symbiotic reaction, a connection with it. It's not that the fruit is helping us, but we are helping the plant to spread its seeds, and rewards us or dupes us into doing this by providing a little bit of fructose, because our brain is hooked to sweets. Sweet is our biggest opioid and most addictive thing to a animal body, not only human, every animal body. You give a cat chocolate, and next time when the cat sees the same package, she will drive you crazy. She will not go away from you, wants this chocolate. Okay, so because of sweetness, nothing else. And we can eat without getting sick. We can eat fruits, but not constantly, not every day, because they will interfere with our hydration and cleansing. They are not very toxic, they are mildly toxic, but still, this is why their fruits are seasonal. They are not readily available. And what happens, I explained it, for example, on a bear. If you are in a bear country and park, and there are signs, usually in the spring and summer, the sign says, make noise. So when you are making noise, bear goes away. But when fall comes, it's different sign, be quiet, be observant. If you see bear, slowly back the hell out of there. Why? Because in a fall, it's a berry season. Bears love sweet. So they will eat berries, not to plump up on berries, but berries make them very hungry. So then they become aggressive and they hunt more. And then they will go and kill you and eat you. Okay, so we have to just understand a little bit more what is happening around us, this reality of ours. Same is when we are eating fruit. Now, why I introduce banana? Because we are accustomed to look at food as a drug. We don't look at food as a necessity. Unless it tastes good, we don't want to eat it. It has to be, good. And if I would tell people, okay, take yogurt and put 5, 6 eggs in it and mix it and drink it, they will, acidic, that's but put one banana, it tastes like ice cream. Oh, well, that's good. Okay, so banana is not a big deal. It's a fruit we can take as long as it's in a raw shape, because all the carbohydrate that is in there is locked within cells. Cells of plants have membranes out of cellulose, non-digestible. You can eat 10 kilograms of raw sweet bananas, and you will be losing weight like crazy. But you go to nutritionist, and nutritionist tells you, well, if you want to lose weight, you can eat fruits, but don't eat banana, because banana has a lot of starch. Well, they don't understand diddly squat, because we are being brainwashed. We don't know the difference between cooked and raw. We don't know frequencies. We don't know nothing, okay? And then we are making our assumptions, and then short-term result. Oh, I eat now apples and I feel better, so apples are healthy. Well, take it 15 years, take it 10 years, let's see what happens. There was this one, again, I don't remember the name, was a heavier set guy, very popular in a community of fruitarians, and always fruit. Oh, I eat only fruit. First, if you eat only fruits, you cannot be fat. Impossible. There is not enough energy there. There's no energy there. You have to get energy from somewhere. So you have to have some cooked vegetables at least to get you starch. So this is one lie. But then after several years, I saw one video of him. He looked like crap. And he said, well, I had to start eating other stuff because I start feeling really sick from fruits, you get malnourished. There is nothing in a fruit that your body needs or wants except fructose. And fructose because of the brain, and then your body cannot use it because it's not geared for fructose, so it will turn it into fat in a liver, and that's it.
What about the plasma in the fruit? Because there's a lot of water in fruits. Like cucumber, for example, is 97% water
Okay,
approximately.
okay, now you are young, so you don't remember how really fruit tastes like. When I was young, if somebody brought a watermelon in an open market, the whole market smelled on watermelon. If you take this watermelon in a house, the whole house smells on watermelon without you even opening it. Today, you bring this watermelon, you cut it, you bite into it, and you cannot even smell the real smell and flavor of watermelon. Same is with apples. One apple from my tree in the garden when I was a kid, the whole house smells on apple. You bite into it, this aroma, this all. Okay, so where does the aroma come from? It comes from minerals. Today, almost all the vegetables we eat, all the fruits, are almost hydroponically grown. They don't mix manure back in the soil. They're using a petroleum-based stuff to put in nitrogen. That's all. Because plant to grow does not need mineral. And plant without mineral loses flavor and taste and smell. So now all the fruit that you are eating now is plain water with accumulation of graphene oxide that was sprinkled from the airplanes, went into soil and were absorbed into the plant. And since plant does not eliminate, only accumulate, you will have accumulation of pesticides and herbicides and graphene oxide, aluminum, and everything else that they spray on the soil. So plants have become, fruits have become toxic. And
Interesting.
since you don't have any need for it, nothing beneficial comes from them other than having minerals, and only local minerals that are around the tree. So it's very small amount, very selective type of minerals. Okay, you take sea salt, you get minerals from all the planet everywhere. All the salts are there. No comparison with anything else.
So from Varus Ahmad, if you know about him, I learned or I started thinking about the fact that when you look at tribes, natural tribes, indigenous tribes, especially those in Weston A. Price's book, because that's the best place to study them,
Yeah.
you find that most of them eat starch. Most of them eat a lot of starch.
Yeah.
The majority, actually. So usually we think of, well, let's say hunter-gatherers as people who only eat meat. And there were some tribes that mostly ate meat, like the Maasai, like the Australian Aborigines, like the Native Americans. But even those tribes ate plants when they were available. So you've said that again, the only way of obtaining glucose more specifically, through plants is by cooking them, and you've said that it's an unhealthy thing to do. Yet when Weston A. Price looked at these tribes that were eating a fair amount of starch, they didn't have any tooth decay, they didn't have any problems. Would you then say that they would be even healthier if they didn't eat the starch, or do you think that we do have adaptations to starch?
Definitely they would be healthier because just look at it. Every tribe had medicine men. Why would they have medicine men if they don't get sick? And if they get sick, what are they getting sick from? And there is only one indigenous tribe that never had medicine man or shaman. Only one tribe on this planet. And those were the Inuit people, we call Eskimos. Now, what is Eskimo diet? They live in ice at least 7 months a year. They didn't even have sunlight. Pure ice, and There is no vegetation, so they cannot make fire. They live from hunting. They hunt seals, fish, whatever moves, crawls around, and they eat it raw. They may dry it, salt it, dry it, or just dry it and eat it raw. And they were the only one that never have medicine men. Why don't they have medicine men? Because they were never sick. Why to have medicine men if you don't have if you don't have sickness? So the only healthy people on this planet were actually the Inuit people. Everybody else was already poisoned, and that's why they needed medicine men. And the knowledge about eating carbohydrates comes from as the what they call them, the templates from Sumeria that shows gods coming from the sky. They call them gods because they could come on flying saucers. And they told them, showed them how they can cultivate grain and how can they use grain for food. And this way they don't have to follow animals, and then they can create civilizations. Okay, so it's right there on templates, showing the pictures and showing the Anunnaki as teachers of them. So this is what, 8,000 years ago. We have been already brainwashed because they wanted to turn us into their slaves, and to turn you into slave, they have to kind of make you stupid. And this is exactly what sugars do to you. How? Because sugar provides you with very quick energy release. So if you have a fat and sugar available, from sugar you are making energy much quicker, and then you cannot use the fat because there is no need for it anymore when you are done with the sugar. So you are reprogramming your body into running on sugar, and since brain uses more than twice the amount of energy than your muscles, the brain will use most energy, and we say, oh, brain needs sugar. No, brain just needs a big amount of mitochondria so it can create enough energy from fat. But if you feed it sugar, it doesn't need this mitochondria. Small amount of mitochondria will be plentiful because energy is produced rapidly. But what happens? You eat something starchy, and you immediately buzz. You have the energy. And then 1 hour later, or half hour later in a situation of brain, as you deplete it, the cells want more energy. And now body does not have storage. We don't have any storage of glucose in the body. So it sends fat, triglycerides. But you have only 500 mitochondria instead of 3,000. So you make only fraction of energy necessary, and you feel tired. Your brain goes, oh, I cannot concentrate, I cannot think, let me sleep, I want to relax, I have no energy. And now if you force it, you gotta do this, you gotta sign this document, you gotta do this, then it causes a stressful situation. Brain starts producing stress hormones, taps into its glycogen reserves, which are there only for emergency, for life-saving situations. And now when you are in this, you are in basically defense mode, and you become aggressive. And this is exactly what bipolarity is. And I had many bipolar patients. Within 1 week, bipolarity gone completely. Just stop eating the stupid carbohydrates.
So,
So what we are told is all incorrect.
all right. Now, you're originally from the Czech Republic, and now you're, if I'm not mistaken, you're living in Peru.
Yeah.
So, what many people in Europe and in North America even, but not in Mexico and you know, southern North America part, so to speak, are thinking about is, I need to move. I need to move somewhere where it's warmer, where there's more, where the people are more traditional, so to speak, where there's no, you know, these modern problems that we see with Europe, with the United States, with many, you know, westernized countries like Australia and New Zealand. Now, it seems as though you've traveled South America. and you know that region of the world in general. Uh, do you have any recommendations when it comes to countries that someone could move to that are good?
Uh, People do not change much. So if you are thinking that you're going to find nicer people, you are mistaken. Uh, People are egoist everywhere, and especially when you go into primitive areas that have televisions, then they see what they see on television, they want it, and they do anything to get it. The laws are way more flexible, and your life is less worthy. For example, in primitive countries, like South America, let's say, or even Africa, they'll kill you for a pair of sneakers that they saw on television advertised. You have them, they'll kill you just to get those sneakers because to them this is now, I have the same what they have over there. And life means not much. So if you go to live somewhere else, you have to be ready to adjust to different traditions, unless you come with your community. So you come with your community, which you have in South America, you have almost in every country here, in Chile, in Venezuela, here in Peru, you have German communities. So a bunch of Germans came and they create community. And these communities are really, everything is clean. This is like you came to different world when you come from other part of the same country. You go into this area, everything is different. But at the same time, also the mental processing is different. So the reason why I'm south, because I hate winter, I hate cold. And I love ocean warm. I loved spearfishing, diving. So I was living on a boat and I always was in the tropics. When it was summer, I would sail to Europe sometimes and spend summer there. And as soon as fall came, I would sail back into Caribbean. I don't like winter. So this is my reason why I'm rather schwitzing than freezing. And this is different for different people. Many of my friends ask me, well, do you recommend us going there? There are people that came, my very good friends, recent friends, are from Holland, which bought a piece of land by river, and they are involved into healing the jungle. So trying to teach people to treat garbage properly, not to pollute around and treat the nature, don't cut the trees. Because primitive people, they only want money now. They want car, they want motorcycle, they want plane if they can get it. So if they are in possession of big part of Amazon land, they don't care. They will cut all the trees and sell it just to get what they want. And they will send even the land so they can buy a car. You know, we think of people in Amazon as being careful with the environment. You are talking about only on the tribes. They don't have electricity. They don't have television. As soon as electricity comes, as soon as TV comes, the mind gets corrupted and becomes worse than civilized mind, because then it doesn't care about anything, just grabbing everything it can. So as a community, yes, would be good because land is cheap, fertile more or less, but you can always use it if you know how to. And you can create your life anywhere you want. I feel at home wherever I go because I'm highly adaptable. You know, I'm not religious, but I will go if everybody goes to church and they invite me, I will go with them to church. If everybody goes to, I don't know, some spiritual ceremony and invite me, I will go to them on a spiritual ceremony. I'm flexible. Doesn't mean that I'm spiritual in that way or that I'm religious in that way, I will melt into the society. If you are not capable of doing so, you better stay where you are
I
because
I
you'll
think
be
sorry.
separated. Yeah.
I think what people really want is they want high quality food and they want sunlight. They also want to escape the winter because during the winter you don't get any sunlight, you don't get any vitamin D. So a winter is naturally unhealthy in comparison to the summer or a place where there's a lot of sunlight. So people want to go to that part of the world to get sunlight, and also they want high quality food. The soils are very demineralized in many places, and it seems as though if you go to South America or Central America, you'll get food from more high quality soils. At least when people have went to Costa Rica, that's what I've heard them say, that the soils over there are far better. Judging by your experience, and these factors, would you say that there are places in, let's say, South America and Central America that you've been to that you would recommend? Or, and are there places that you went to that you wouldn't recommend that people move to?
Well, Amazon jungle in general used to be used to be seabed. So it is sand and clay. And only upper layer, which is very, very small, I don't know, maybe 10 centimeters or less, some places a little bit more, is fertile because of the foliage falling down and staying on the canopy and staying on the surface of the floor, and it's a little bit more nutrient, but there are a lot of insects and variety of plant life, high humidity, so things grow fast, but not necessarily what you want to grow. So you will need to use herbicide. Otherwise, you are slave in trying to simmer all these seeds and everything else that comes on the. You have a big problem. Monoculture is unsustainable. Monoculture is actually creating problems, and we are basing our production on monoculture because we want rice, we want potatoes, we want bananas. Well, you are creating monoculture, which is depleting the soil, and also it is not sheltered from uh, these insects. In a nature, one plant protects another. In monoculture, this doesn't happen. So you have to resort to herbicides and pesticides. We have to completely change the way how we farm, if you want to farm. And it doesn't matter where you are, because one of the biggest production or producers of plants is Holland. Now, Holland, a small country, how can it produce so much food? Well, because every couple of years they flood their land with the seawater, so they mineralize it. So we can buy a sea salt and sprinkle sea salt on the terrain, and we mineralize it. It's another. We don't have to move. We can just change what is happening in our corner. Yeah, if you want to live in a warm climate, go south, go closer to equator. This is what I do, but I don't stay. I love moving. That's why I want to live on a boat again, and so I can keep moving in my house and not to have to pack. Every change is beneficial. We always benefit from change, but we have to be adaptable at the same time, and we have to know what we are getting into. It's, things change as soon as you change area where you live. So before you make any decision, go to the country where you want to live or where you want to investigate and see what is happening. Get in touch with these people. Don't go 5 countries in 5 days, but take a vacation 1 month and go to the area where you would like to settle and talk to those people, see how they live, see what they do, and then see if this is something that you would like to do, even if you want to do different production, but at least you get acquainted with the whole situation. A lot of people, when I used to charter with my sailboat, would go, "Oh, you have such a great life. I'm going to do the same thing." And they buy boat, and 5 months later they are divorced. The boat is for sale because they cannot handle the type of living, because it's completely different lifestyle. So whenever you are changing something, you first go and try it, but don't try it like I don't know, 3-day vacation. Live there a little bit, do what people do, and then see if this is something that you really can handle and you want to do.
I want to ask you about blessing food, because this is something that you've talked about that I don't see many people talk about. I did an experiment without even knowing that I'm doing it, way before I knew about Joey or you for that matter. There was a period where I was listening to Eckhart Tolle, if you know who that is, but
Yeah.
yes. So I listened to him, and I got really, I got this an interesting experience, so to speak, where I understood where thoughts came from. I understood that entire system, so I changed very rapidly during a few months, and then the ego came back, if you want to call it that, the normal mental emotional patterns. But during a few months, I was not behaving in the normal patterns. I wasn't speaking to people in the normal way. I became completely different. Then it came back. But during that period, I started appreciating the food that I was eating a lot more. So I realized that, oh, this meat that I'm eating, it comes from a cow that had a life. And so I was thankful for the cow, for the fact that its flesh is giving me life now, that I'm taking this energy and turning it into myself. And so I was thanking all the parts of my meal, so to speak. And then when I used to eat it, because I used to have a few digestive issues back then, I noticed that my digestion was far better. And then I listened to you speak with Joey, and you were talking about this, and I said, oh, okay, that's why. Because and even from a physics standpoint, Jack Kruse talks about how water stores information in a very interesting way. So if the brain, let's say, is a antenna that receives and transmits information, which is might be far fetched, but I think we're close to proving that. And water stores information, and water is in the food. Then of course the way you feel about the food is going to influence the food. Then there might be other factors as well, but I'd like to you know have you explain that.
Well, the easiest way and the best explanation is if you go into quantum understanding. In quantum field, it's nothing. Well, quantum field is created by consciousness. Consciousness creates energy and motion, and then uses this energy depending on its frequencies, and everything is programmed from there. So if you understand that your brain is transforming frequencies into your reality, every aspect of your reality, then you are actually creating through your consciousness, through your intent. I did experiment with Dowser on the island. He found one area that had a vortex, an energetic vortex. The frequency of planet Earth was resonating with 7.83 hertz, but this vortex was resonating with 2000 or 1200, something like this, 2000 or 1200 hertz. And I went with the dowser and said, what would happen if we stand on this vortex and consciously we ask our frequency to rise? And he doused me and he doused himself, and we were on a frequency, I believe, 658 or something like this. We are talking about frequency of consciousness. And we are standing there, not even a couple minutes, and he says, okay, I got it. I said, what did you get? I got a number. Let's try if it's true. So he wrote the number down, and I think it was like 800 something. And he doused it. He had a little machine that he can dial in any frequency he wanted machine to radiate. And then if somebody radiated with the same frequency and he went in between them, then his rad would confirm that both objects radiate with the same frequency. And I would stand on one side, he programmed machine, he goes in between, and said, you see, I was right. You are now resonating with 872. And then he tries it on himself by putting in a line, and it takes one rad, and it shows, yeah, okay, he also resonates with this. So then we start going to twice a week to this spot, raising our frequency, and then friends start joining us, small group of friends. And at one point, we have reached the same frequency of this field. And I said, well, if we are the creators, then we can replicate this anywhere we want. So I stand on a part of, actually it was a road which leads to this place. And I made a circle in my mind and pointed with the finger, okay, this circle is energized with a frequency of 4,000 hertz. And the dowser goes and he confirms it. Yeah, this radiates now 4,000 hertz frequency. I said, so why don't we now try to raise our frequency in this circle? So we go and we continue raising our frequency in that circle. So we went way over the vortex. And actually, we went past any frequency just through intent. Every time we got together, and more of us got together, the merrier, and we will raise much higher. And actually, we went to hundreds of thousands of hertz. And then all of a sudden, this stopped. We could not go any further. So I said, okay, we cannot do. And then I asked, is this permanent? Or are we going to be able to go any further? And the answer was, again, through dowsing, we will be able to go further, but not now. So I said, we will be able to go forward in 15 days. And says, no. In 1 month, it says yes. So the dowser was coming every day, and he could not raise frequency. Exactly in 1 month, bingo, he rose frequency again. And then we got together and we started raising frequency and raising. We did it for 3 years. The frequency was in hundreds of thousands of hertz. And I asked, is it beneficial? And it said, yes. I did not know why, but I did it. And then we tried something else. We took a dollar bill, a dollar American bill, had a pyramid with an all-seeing eye. And when we test the resonance, it resonated on 666 frequency. So then I looked at it and I blessed it. And I said, this is no longer evil frequency. This is good frequency. And then he tested it and the 666 disappeared. It did not resonate anymore on 666. So he put this dollar bill back into his wallet. And then he wants to show someone else, look, if you take a regular dollar bill, it tests on 666. So he takes a dollar bill and it doesn't test on 666. So he takes another dollar bill. It doesn't test on 666. So he asked the guy, do you have dollar bill? He did. So he tested and it did 666. So then we clear it. It's no more. So we start asking people that come from a plane that came from United States, do you have dollar bill? And we would test them. At the beginning, they did. All of a sudden, at one point, no dollar bill anymore resonated with 666 because we have shifted the whole paradigm of $1 worldwide. This is like the 100 monkey experiment. If you get to the necessary minimum, the whole reality of it shifts. Okay, and it became absolutely, to me, obvious that through our expectation, through our mind and our intent, we can change anything. So we found that we tested the water. Saint Martin is half of it is Dutch controlled and half of it is French controlled. And on the French side, we tested the water, and it resonated. It didn't resonate with fluoride. It was fluoride free. But on that side, fluoride resonated in the water. So I looked at the water and I blessed it, and I said, "This is now healthy water." And when Dowser went after I blessed it, it did not resonate anymore on fluoride. And actually, when he used a color palette, it resonated as a healing water, like the water in a church where it's blessed. We all can do it with our intent. We can do marvelous things. So since water is the basic structure of our physical reality, then, and food is 80% water, you can structure it and you can actually cleanse it. And you don't have to go specific about all the specific frequencies that you want to shift. You can put envelope of protection, which is blessing, thought of creator. And just, this food is blessed by God. And the bad frequencies cease to radiate. This was, to me, then obvious, especially by looking at the Dr. Masaru's work, how you can change completely the structure of the water depending on a frequency that you radiate, either through music or through light or electromagnetic wave, which your brain can transmit. Thought is
Beautiful.
electromagnetic impulse.
Yes. Well, Darko, I don't think I have any more questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.